In the heart of West London, something surprising is happening. Just 100 metres behind a McDonald's in Ealing, a family of beavers are busy at work. This pioneering rewilding project is turning Paradise Fields into a thriving wetland right next to the city. In just 16 months, these ecosystem engineers have transformed the landscape, slowing water, building habitat and helping fight floods. The beavers are back, and nature's loving it.
So I'm very excited to bring you the first Wilding Earth episode here in London. And what's even more exciting is this is a few miles away from where I live. So we're in Ealing, and here they've reintroduced beavers for the first time in 400 years. And they've even had baby beavers born last year called kits. So welcome to the Ealing Beaver Project, and I can't wait to show it to you today. So Elliott, thank you so much for having us here today. Yeah, we'd love to learn a bit more about your amazing project you have here, please.
Oh well, Ollie, firstly, welcome to the Ealing Beaver Project. So I think this is probably one of the most pioneering, inspirational rewilding projects in the whole of the UK. So it is the only beaver enclosure in the whole of the UK that one is firstly such an urban landscape. We can hear the road noise, sirens going past, all that sort of. We're in Zone 4 London here, which is pretty special. It's fully accessible. So you can come here whenever you want. We have entrances, so we've got people, school children walking to school in the morning, people working to work, or anybody could just come in and enjoy being in a beaver landscape.
Because when I arrived, I was like, oh, how do I get in? How do I,
Exactly.
is there a key? And you were like, no, it's, just walk in, which is amazing. You built a really nice community here.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we say we, it's a collaborative project, this. So the Ealing Beaver Project has 4 main partners in it. One is Citizen Zoo, who I work with and work for. We are an urban rewilding organisation that help with projects like this, but also do urban grazing and look at water vole reintroductions and white stalks in the urban landscape. We also have the amazing Ealing Wildlife Group, who do lots of fantastic work around here, from monitoring peregrines to releasing harvest mice. Of course, the Ealing Council, who've been incredibly supportive from the start. And then fourthly, we have the Friends of Horsendom, which is a lovely farm, a community farm, just up on the hill over there. But as well as that, this project is built on the shoulders of hundreds of volunteers. So this project's got some funding from the Rewild London Fund. So 16 months ago, we were just standing on the other side of this lagoon. We had a family of 5 beavers that we were releasing. And actually it's amazing because the water level now is in a completely different place than it was back when the beavers...
How much higher is it now?
It's considerably higher. You see that sort of reeds on the other side of the bank there?
Yes.
The front side of those reeds, so the near side of those reeds is where the water level was.
Wow.
So you can see all the water past that is sort of what the beavers have helped to create as they've increased the water levels. And I'll hopefully show you some of the dams and construction work that the beavers have been doing here to turn this into a fantastically rich biodiverse site.
What have we got up here?
So a big part of this project is not only showing that the beavers can thrive in an urban landscape, but also how we can manage beavers in an urban landscape. But in an environment like this, where we're standing in Zone 4 London, we have the capital ring that goes through the site, which is a path that we want to walk around the whole of London. We don't want that path to be flooded.
Yes.
So what this is our system. So basically a flow control device, effectively, colloquially known as a beaver deceiver, which is about how we can try and manage the height of this pond, or a pond leveller, in a way which the beavers can't really change. Okay. So this is how the water leaves the site. So all of the water that is going through this system in front of us here has to leave through here. So then the brook goes underground. So the beavers, because they want to hold the water on site, will fundamentally want to dam this up and stop the water leaving, and then the water level will get higher and higher and higher. Yeah. And if that was to happen...
So is that what we can see on the edges here? They've attempted to dam, but obviously the pipes they can't plug.
So we're sort of tricking them. So what beavers don't like is the sound of trickling water. So they can hear the sound of trickling water here. So this is where they think the water is leaving. So you can see their attempts here to dam the outflow. So what we've done by putting these tubes out here, and this is the biggest beaver deceiver in the whole of the UK. The Beaver Trust helped us put this in, who've been amazing from the start of this project. And actually the water is leaving all the way over there, and there's a cage there. Okay. So we've got a cage around it to stop the beavers damming it, but also it's a bit confusing because the beavers would expect the water to be leaving where they can hear it, not where they can't.
Like a beaver deceiver, I love it.
So this site, Paradise Fields itself is 10 hectares in size. But what we've done, we've created a 1.2 kilometre fence, which is a beaver-proof fence, which has beaver-proof gates in to allow people to come and go without beavers escaping. And the actual site that we've enclosed is 8 hectares.
Okay.
A normal beaver territory typically is around 2 hectares.
So they've got plenty of space.
Plenty of space.
Free-range beavers.
Absolutely. We've got these amazing sort of like interpretation boards that go around the site of, you know, teaching people about beavers. E.O. Wilson and his biophilia hypothesis, you know, about people have a natural affinity and a desire to connect with nature. I think that happens at different levels. As a child, I loved exploring like earthworms and stuff. But I think most people are intrigued. You said the beaver, it's a species that captures the attention. Okay. So we reintroduced 5 beavers here. In terms of carrying capacity of a site for any species depends on the habitat and various things, you know. But here what we've decided, we want to make sure we have one sort of thriving family of beavers. Okay. So we reintroduced 5 beavers here. So a family of 5, but subsequently they've had 2 new kits. So we've got a family of 7 here now. And yeah, we're looking to sort of manage those numbers over time. But yeah, we just want to make sure we have one thriving family of beavers here. If we came here like 16 months ago, before the beavers arrived, this was a small, tiny little piddly channel with hardly any water in. But now we've got this braided system, that whole channel's come along. I used to be able to walk up and down here easily. So these are like sort of fixed point photography pillars. So you come along, and as you've done with your phone here, you just pop your phone on, you take a picture at this particular space, and then you can upload it to the Ealing Beaver Project website. And yeah, as I say, if you were coming here 16 months ago when we first put this in, this would look like a completely different scene with a small trickle of water coming through. And now we've got this amazing braided channel with more complexity to it, the beaver gnawing in the background, and then with the dabbling mallards dabbling in the water. Just showing you how they curate these wetland habitats. Yeah. Look at this, it's running.
Oh, look at that, wow.
This is new as of today, really.
So this is the dam here has been raised and it's literally coming round. So will they dam the path?
Well, who knows? So beavers are these amazing ecosystem engineers, right? And they do this for a number of reasons, but they want to create these complex wetlands that has deep water where they can move around, because beavers are evolved, they have amazing adaptations to live, to be in riverine environments. On terrestrial landscapes, beavers aren't that mobile, they haven't got very long legs, they're quite heavy animals, and they're always worried that a wolf is going to jump out of a bush and grab it. So what here we're seeing is that they've constructed these amazing dams. We've got a series of 3 dams here, and you can see the water level going, dropping at each time. But this is to create these sort of more wetland habitats, so the beavers can feel safer as they sort of traverse the landscape and search for their herbivorous food. So not only do they create new habitat, they also, as the water sort of slowly percolates through it, it's actually cleaning it. It's like a filter system. Phosphates and nitrate, dissolved solids and dissolved oxygen, and we can tell you that the water that enters the site is a lot dirtier than the water leaving the site. As well as this, they're also helping to reduce flood risk. So they're increasing the ability of this site to hold water. That means when we get high rainfall, the water just funnels through in these big torrents. But the beavers, by creating these dams and creating this complex wetland system, they help to take the energy out of the system. So when we get these high rainfall events, these dams actually stop flooding downstream. There's a railway station called Greenford Railway Station just over the road here, and that floods most years. Or actually every year it's flooded during the winter period. But last year, which was the first winter with beavers, the train station didn't flood.
That's incredible.
And that is because these dams are working together.
Building capacity in the landscape and delaying it.
Exactly.
Wow.
So they're nature-based solutions to climate change. Beavers love eating something called the cambion layer. So that's the sound of a Chetty's warbler there. But they love eating the cambion layer, which is a living tissue behind the bark. So here they've felled a large tree, and that's helped to stop people getting into here. So we now have a beaver sanctuary behind here, which the beavers feel nice and safe. But they're now processing this tree up and using it for food. So you can see here they've almost stripped the bark. You can see the wood chippings here. Each slice is effectively 1 beaver bite.
So these little lines are little teeth?
The little teeth marks, yeah.
Wow.
So really distinctive. This is really good beaver track and sign for beavers. So 2 things I'd always tell you to look out for if you're looking at a beaver chewed stick. One is where they've stripped the bark to try and access that cambion layer, but also this 45-degree angle here.
Okay.
Anytime a beaver bites a stick or nibbles on a stick, the orientation of its hands and its teeth will always leave that very distinctive 45-degree angle.
Can I keep this?
Absolutely,
My
you
son
can.
is going to absolutely love that.
Oh, fantastic. Well, you can tell him this was nibbled last night.
No way,
That
really?
is proper
Wow.
fresh beaver sign.
That is amazing.
When I think about London or cities, you normally think of the grey, you think of the built up, you don't really think of nature and wildlife. And if you look at the UK, for example, 84% of our population live in cities. London alone has a population of about 9 million, more like growing to 10 million by 2030.
Yeah.
I would love people to have nature as part of their daily experience. Nature shouldn't be something you have to travel
Absolutely, yeah.
miles off to. You should open the door and you should be sort of surrounded in a biodiverse landscape, and that will have so many benefits, not only for climate resilience like we've spoken about today, but mental health and just being more stimulated in an urban setting.
How many species do we have at the moment in London?
We have about 16,000 different species
Okay, wow, so
that you
that's a
can
lot more
find
than I
in
thought.
London. You know, over 300 species of bird, 11 species of bat, literally thousands of species of invertebrate. You know, London is a biodiverse landscape. 49.5% of London is green or blue space, so a lot greener than you might first expect. Each of these incisor marks you can see, and this is almost like, you know, the distinctive pencil-like feature that you'll see when you see sort of, like, you know, beavers nibbling on trees and felling trees. And again, you can see how they've stripped all that bark to access the Cambrian layer.
Why is this a different colour? This is a golden, orangey.
Yeah, absolutely. So every sort of different type of tree has a slightly different coloration to sort of the tissue behind the bark. Willow is different to blackthorn and hawthorn, for example. But also it gives you an indication about the time in which it was chewed. You can sort of tell how aged the bite marks are just by that sort of, it discolours over time.
So last night?
Probably a bit of gnawing last night, because look how fresh this is.
Yeah, okay.
That is proper fresh.
Yeah.
That is. This looks quite dramatic, doesn't it? And you think, poor tree. But one thing you need to remember, that beavers and trees have evolved for millennia. Actually, by having beavers in the landscape can massively improve the quality of our woodlands. What they'll do by felling this tree, for example, instantly, you know, more light will hit the forest floor, and you'll get a whole range of more flora and more diverse tree structures.
So they create opportunity for new species and for new growth.
So we will see new regeneration, as you can see here.
Oh yeah.
You know, this tree is not dead. We'll get fresh growth coming through. So you'll get a whole wealth of great more sort of biodiversity here. Trees and beavers go hand in hand. There's lots of management techniques we can do. For example, if we didn't want this tree to be felled, we could do two things. We're going to put a cage around it to stop the beavers getting to it, or even cheaper, we could get some sandy paint.
And someone told me that when beavers are gnawing trees, sometimes they'll stop and they'll like look up, and they were saying to listen for the cracking sound. So is that true? That they, as they're gnawing, they're listening to hear if it's cracking so they can move out the way.
There are some instances of beavers being squashed by their own trees, and normally what they'll do, they'll then move themselves away from the area, and then actually on a windy night, the wind will do the rest. It's cool, no?
Beavers are amazing ecosystem engineers, and they attract all sorts of wildlife. What have you seen since the beavers have moved here?
I like to almost call it a biodiversity explosion or biodiversity bomb. When you put a beaver into a landscape, you see a whole range of biodiversity increase. And the beaver's only been here for about 16 months, so not very long in the grand scheme of things, right? But even in that short space of time, we've seen a whole wealth of new species using the site. For example, new bird species. This last winter, for example, we saw snipe and water rail for the first time. We're seeing kingfishers use the site more than ever before. We're seeing our freshwater invertebrates, which are the bedrock for an ecosystem, increasing not only in abundance but also diversity. And you know,
Is that like frogs and newts and?
yeah, absolutely, totally. So in the woodland over here, the wet woodland they've created, tadpoles and frog spawn was like never really recorded here in big numbers ever before, really. But just this year, this last spring, we're excited to report that woodland was teeming in frog spawn. And it might not sound that exciting, but that wasn't something this site had prior to the beavers arriving. As well as species that are naturally recolonising onto the site, we're also proactively bringing other species back. Black poplars are a species that are wetland specialists, so we know that they will coexist very well within beaver landscapes because their seeds effectively need the water to be able to germinate. So we're hoping, you know, by having the beavers here, we're creating perfect habitat for black poplar
to thrive and to spread. Amazing. Where are we? Well, explain why we're whispering, maybe.
Yeah, so a secret location on the site. It's a very sensitive location because this behind us is the largest beaver lodge in the site. So this is where the beavers spend a lot of their time in the day because beavers are nocturnal. And the reason we're whispering, because we're now in the heart of the pregnancy period for beavers.
Oh, wow, so they're pregnant again.
Well, we're hopeful.
Oh, wow, okay.
The beavers will be pregnant, and we're confident in the coming days they might even be giving birth to
literally
kids.
days.
Yeah, but we won't know for a good few months if they have bred and have been successful this year, because the kids will live in here for a few months before they start to venture outside.
Okay.
So we want to be really careful. We don't want to tell people where this is particularly, and just be really sensitive around this part.
Okay. How exciting.
Yeah, really cool.
Okay, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed for more baby beavers.
Oh my god, there's a fox.
Thank you so much for showing us around today. This is a really incredible project, and thank you for everything you've done here to make this happen. What are you most excited for looking to the future?
Wow, thank you so much for coming to visit. It's been an absolute pleasure to show you around. And I suppose looking into the future, I really hope, you come here, this is quite a unique space, isn't it? Experienced beavers in the urban landscape. But we want to use this as a demonstration to prove to others that we can have beavers within our urban landscape. So hopefully in the future this will not be an anomaly. We'll sort of normalise beavers and have them more frequent within our urban landscapes. And Munich right now has got about 600 beavers living in it.
Wow.
How great would it be if London was something like that in the future? But it's not just about beavers here. It's about just a wilder future where our cities can be teeming with wildlife as well. So we aspire to live in a world filled with wildlife, where people engage with nature on a daily basis. And if this is one step in that journey to a wilder future where we can embrace nature within our urban settings, I think we'll have achieved something.
Thank you so much, and wishing you all the best with the project and the future.
Thank you.
I just want to say a big thank you to you all for watching this episode, and a huge thank you to everyone that subscribed. Only 5% of people that actually watch these episodes subscribe to the channel. So if you could subscribe and show your support and give me feedback, then that would be greatly appreciated and help me create ultimately better content and a more enjoyable viewing experience for you.